Good morning, investors and corporate. Welcome to Digital Roadshow third quarter 2024 performance review. This section will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. Company will start the section by 30-minute presentation, followed by 15-minute Q&A. And during Q&A, investor may leave your question in meeting room chat box or use raise your hand function. We will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. So may I now invite PTG Energy Public Company Limited to start the presentation.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Welcome everyone to the Digital Roadshow for PTG Energy Public Company Limited in announcing the financial performance of the third quarter of 2024. Before I'd like to dive into today's presentation, I'd like to introduce our key speakers today. Sitting next to me is Khun Parameet Sangwanchok Panit, Vice President and Head of IR.
Good morning.
Sitting in front of me is Khun Pichaya Kangsirichuang, Investor Relations.
Good morning.
And I'm Nopason Wang, Investor Relations. Okay, so today's agenda, I would like to give the presentations on the snapshot of the third quarter of this year, followed by the key performance of the third quarter and cumulative 9 months of 2024. Then Khun Pichaya will walk you through on the financial statements and 2024 outlook. Starting with the first agenda. On the snapshot, top left-hand side, you can see that right now we have number of services stations up to 2,214 stations across the nation. And in the third quarter, we have increased our market share in terms of the oil retail through service stations up to 21.5% compared to same period last year of 19%. This is derived from our increase in the sales volume through services stations up to 12% year over year, up to 1,543 million liters. The information I will dive into the details more in the next agenda. And the third one is right now we have more than 24 million PT Max card members. And in terms of our non-oil business touch points, right now we have at 1,878 touch points. This is excluding our LPG business touch points. The majority touch points was derived from Pantai coffee branches, which we currently have at 1,126 branches across nations. In terms of the cumulative 9-month period, our board of directors has resolved paying the dividend for our shareholders of 10 satang per shares, which will equivalent to a dividend pay of 167 million baht, and this will be paid on 12th of December this year, and the record date will be setting at 27th of November. In terms of the financial statements, the revenue of the third quarter was at 54,395 million baht, a decrease of 5.8% Q over Q, but increased by 14.4% year over year. And in terms of the gross profit, stood at 3,532 million baht, a decrease of 9.1% Q on Q, but increased by 15.8% year over year. The changes of the revenue and the gross profit was largely derived from the oil business as a result of the sales volume that was declined compared to the previous quarter due to the rainy season, but increased significantly more than double digit as a result of the increase of the sales volume. If you look at the gross profit, on the pie chart at the top right-hand side, you can see that right now our non-oil gross profit stood at 26.1%, which this year we targeted our non-oil gross profit to be in the range of 25 to 30%. And EBITDA in this quarter stood at 1,342 million baht, a decrease of 22.9% Q over Q, but increased by 10.7% year over year. Next is the key highlights of this quarter. As I mentioned earlier, that we have increased our retail market share in this quarter compared to the previous year to 21.5%. And this was a result of the high significant growth in terms of the year-over-year sales volume of 12%, which outperforming the market contraction, which declined by 0.5% year-over-year. And the second one is our LPG business, our Atlas Energy Public Company Limited, the subsidiaries of the company, has filed for an IPO up to 418 million shares, newly issued shares, which according to the filing was submitted in October 10th. And post IPO, the company shall retain the shares at 70.5%. The objective of the raising capital was to be allocated to expand in the LPG business, which including the filling plants, the gas cylinder, the auto LPG stations, as well as the PT Auto Transform project, which the company has initiated a few years ago in order to broaden the future customer base. And the third one is our Pantai Coffee business. Right now, we have increased our number of branches up to 1,126 branches, which grow by 48.9% year-over-year. And also, recently, the company has launched the Tarikana campaign, which featuring 100% Arabica coffee beans from Mae Son province. And the campaign is targeted at coffee enthusiasts seeking authentic Thai flavor while supporting Thai farmers and communities. And the fifth one is one of the major non-oil brand under the company, which is the Autobags, a car services and maintenance center, and Elex by EGAT PT is our EV charging stations. These two brands has expanded its business substantially over the past few years, and also right now we have exceeding our touch points number of more than 100 touch points. For Autobags, we have at 103 branches across nations, and Elex by EGAT PT, we have installed our charging station up to 121 stations across nations as well. And the last one is the HR Asia. Recently, the company has received two major awards from HR Asia, which is the HR Asia Best Company to Work For in 2024, and the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Awards. And then in terms of our ESG development in this quarter, the company have installed a solar roof in 147 locations, which produces 1,500,000 kilowatt hours of electricity generation in this quarter, and also reduced the self-consumption up to more than 15%, which equivalent to 4.6 million baht, and also reduce greenhouse gas by 698 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, or equal to planting up to 77,000 trees. In terms of the waste management business, right now the municipal solid waste has eliminated up to 2,500 tons, and also reducing the greenhouse gas by 7,954 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. In terms of the community, the company has initiated previously a few years ago on the campaign we call PT, We Care, Leave No One Behind, in order to support people in the local community who are lack of opportunities in terms of education or health for their lives. So this quarter, we supported people at Nong Iruen district in Chonburi province. On the right-hand side is the calamity relief and support. For the flood relief support, the company has partnered with the local communities in Chiang Rai, Phrae and 9 provinces by donating the bottled water, and also our subsidiaries Atlas and PPP Green Complex has donated the gas cylinders and cooking palm oil for the people in Chiang Rai. In terms of the key performance of third quarter and 9-month period of this year, starting with the number of oil service stations. Right now, we have 2,214 stations, which increased by 38 stations compared to the same period last year. And the majority increase was from the oil cocoa of 30 stations, stood at 1,858, and followed by oil dodo of 8 station increase to 356 stations. In terms of the regional distribution by region, you can see that the northeastern and north and southern and west contributed largest contribution of 31%, 21%, 11% respectively. In terms of the oil consumption in this quarter, we have the overall market consumption and the PTG sales volume in comparison to the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you can see that the total all channel consumption in this quarter declined slightly by 4.1% Q-on-Q and increased slightly from previous year by 1.4% year-over-year to 8,649 million liters. And in terms of the 9-month period, the total consumption stood at 26,841 million liters, an increase of 1.9% year-over-year. In terms of the retail consumption, in this quarter, stood at 6,917 million liters, a decrease of 5.1% Q-over-Q, and also declined from the previous year by 0.5% year-over-year. In terms of the 9-month period, the retail consumption stood at 21,582 million liters, a slight increase of 0.6% year-over-year. If you look in terms of the company, in comparison to the retail consumption decrease of 0.5% year-over-year, the company has increased, outpacing the market by 12.1% year-over-year growth, which stood at 1,577 million liters. The increase was not from, as I mentioned earlier, that we have expanded our services station by 1.8% or 1.7% or 38 stations. The increase was majority derived from the same store sales growth, which increased significantly by double digit, roughly 11% year-over-year. The major reason compared to the same period last year was not only from store expansion or renovation, but also came from our customers, and mostly will be from our PT Max Card member customers, which we have 3 major cards. The green one is the Premier card, which normally we use it for collecting and redeeming the points. And the second one is the PT Max Card Plus, which is the red card, where this card we normally have to pay an annual subscription of 599 baht per year, but you can receive a discount of, for example, major discount will be 50 satang per liter in order when you're refilling at the stations up to 200 liters per month. And you can get a discount on the food, on the Pantai beverages as well, by 50% discount up to 10 glasses a month. And also recently we have launched the PT Max Card EV, which is the card that we provided for an EV users as well. But within this discount, we not only provide in terms of the discount of EV charging stations up to 50 baht per time, twice a month, but also you can get a discount on the 50 satang per liter when you're refilling at the service stations up to 100 liters per month. And that is a quick summary of the rationale compared to the previous year. However, if you look at the decline compared to the previous quarter by 8.1% Q over Q, it was as a result of traditionally in the third quarter, it was falls during the monsoon season, which characterized by the heavy rainfall. And during this period, farmers typically avoid growing crops due to unfavorable weather conditions. And if you look in terms of the 9-month period, you can see that we still obtain a substantial increase of the oil sales volume by 13.6% year over year to 5,013 million liters. And this is in line with our guidance that we guide this year to be at 10 to 15% year over year growth. Next will be our market share. As I mentioned that we have increase in terms of our sales volume. This has led to our increase in terms of the retail market share up to 21.5% compared to 19.2% in the third quarter of last year. And next will be our non-oil business. Our number of touch points in this quarter stood at 1,878 touch points, an increase of 157 touch points from the previous quarter, an increase of 525 touch points compared to same period last year. In terms of the revenue in third quarter stood at 4,311 million baht, an increase of 4.1% Q-on-Q and 25.2% year over year. And in terms of the 9-month period, the revenue increased significantly by 25.8% year over year to 12,492 million baht. In terms of the gross profit in this quarter, also increased by 2.4% Q-on-Q and 31.1% year over year to 923 million baht. And in terms of the cumulative 9-month period, the non-oil gross profit stood at 2,681 million baht, an increase of 34.8% year over year. As a result, in the 9-month period, our non-oil gross profit contribution stood at 24.5%, which still in line in our guidance of the range of 25 to 30% contribution. Within our number of touch points in non-oil business, the majority derived from Pantai branches of 1,126 branches, followed by Maxmart convenience stores of 355 branches, Coffee World of 24 branches, and Autobags, which is the car services and maintenance center of 103 branches. And Max Micron, which is a lubricant change, we have at 49 locations. The Maxcam, the race area of 100 race area, and the EV charging station of 121 stations. In terms of the Pantai coffee business, right now we have at 1,126 branches, which increased 98 branches from the previous quarter, and a significant increase of 370 branches from the same period last year. This is equivalent to 1 branches per day of increase. In terms of the breakdown touch points, you can see that majority, roughly 78%, still owned by the company. But in terms of the locations, roughly 60% of still in the stations, but in 40% is locating outside PT service stations. In terms of the sales, in third quarter of this year was increased 10.7% Q-on-Q and a substantial increase of 77.6% year on year. The increase, despite the growth in terms of the station expansion of 48.9% year on year, it is also increased from the same store sales as the company has obtained the consistent patronage from our customers, but also from our marketing campaign that we have launched continuously. And in terms of the 9-month period, the revenue stood at 1,540 million baht, an increase of 75.1% year on year. In terms of the gross profit, in this quarter stood at 294 million baht, an increase of 9.5% Q1Q and 72.1% year on year. A 9-month period, the gross profit stood at 800 million baht, an increase of 65.4% year on year. And next is a sample of the branch expansion that we have expanding over the past year. As you can see that we expand mostly in the picture is the standalone and also the built-in model as well. And on the right-hand side is the campaign that we have launched recently, which is the Thai Ricano, featuring 100% Arabica, locally sourced from Mae Hong Son province. And as a part of this campaign, we also introduced two new presenters, Thailand and PTG in the picture, to further enhance the connection with our audience and highlight the authenticity of our locally crafted beverage. Next is our auto bags business. The number of branches increased, 11 branches from the previous quarter and 44 branches increased from the same period last year. In terms of the revenue, also grew by 12.9% Q1Q and 67.6% year on year to 258 million baht. And in terms of the 9-month period, revenue also increased by 83.3% year on year to 722 million baht. The increase was mostly not only from the stores expansions, but also the continuous marketing campaign, for example, the new branch opening campaign or other branding campaign for the brand. And in terms of the auto bags, the gross profit in this quarter stood at 77 million baht, an increase of 35.1% Q1Q, and increased significantly by 116.5% year on year. If you look in terms of the gross profit, the margin also increased as a result of the economy of scales and also the increased support from suppliers. And in terms of the 9-month period, the gross profit also increased significantly by 124.4% year on year to 197 million baht. And this is a picture of, on the left-hand side is the store expansion that right now we have surpassing 100 branches. And also on the right-hand side is the samples of the marketing campaign that we have launched for the newly opened branch. And next will be financial statements. PTG will walk you through on this part.
Okay. For the income statements in third quarter 2024, the company recorded the revenue of 54,395 million baht, an increase of 14.4% year over year, but a decrease of 5.8% Q over Q. The change was largely driven by the oil business, which contributed 92.1% of total revenue, or equivalent to 50,084 million baht, which represents a 30.6% year-over-year increase due to the higher oil sales volume, but a 6.6% Q-over-Q decline from the monsoon season factors. On the other hand, the non-oil revenue business continued to grow by 25.2% year-over-year and 4.1% Q-over-Q, reaching 4.3 thousand million baht. And in terms of accumulated revenue for the 9-month period, increased by 12% year-over-year to over 107,000 million baht. For the right-hand side box of gross profit, the company was recorded gross profit at 3.5 thousand million baht, which rose by 15.8% year-over-year, but decreased by 9.1% Q-over-Q, which mainly derived from oil gross profit, which rose by 11.1% year-over-year, but declined by 12.6% Q-over-Q to 2.6 thousand million baht. The depictions was affected by the lower oil sales volume coupled with a reduced marketing margin per liter, which declined by 0.8% year-over-year and 4.8% Q-over-Q. This was from the misalignment between the oil fund and ex-refinery price. However, for the oil business, continued to grow its GP by 31.1% year-over-year and 2.4% Q-over-Q, reaching 923 million baht, and account for 26.1% of total gross profit. And in terms of accumulated GP for 9-month period was over 11,000 million baht, representing a 17.8% year-over-year increase. And for the oil business gross profit, contribute for 8.3 thousand million baht at 13.2% year-over-year growth, driven by strong oil sales growth on over 10% of same-store sales growth. And for a 9-month period of gross profit, there are 11,000 million baht, representing a 17.8% year-over-year increase. And for non-oil business and for non-oil gross profit also experienced significant growth of 34.8% year-over-year, reaching 2.7 thousand million baht. Consequent, the non-oil gross profit contribution rose from 21.4% in last year to 24.5% in this year. And in terms of EBITDA, in third quarter 2024 was 1.3 thousand million baht, reflecting a rise of 10.7% year-over-year, but a decrease of 22.9% Q-over-Q. And the company's net profit significantly grew by 2 times from the same period last year, but dropped 84.2% Q-over-Q to 74 million baht. The year-on-year net profit growth factors are from higher oil sales volume with the strong growth in the non-oil business, especially from Thai coffee business. Secondly, the significant growth in share profit by over 40 times compared to the same period last year, and increased by 10% Q-over-Q, which driven by an improvement in the production efficiency of palm complex business of PTG. In addition, lower interest expense and tax rates also contribute to higher net profit. However, this was partially offset by higher SG&A expense due to business expansion in both non-oil and oil business. In contrast, there are 4 factors affecting the Q-on-Q net profit decline. First, from the lower oil sales volume due to the seasonal factors, along with a reduction in gross profit per liter, with an increase in SG&A expense primarily due to the ongoing expansions, together with the higher interest expense due to the released liability under TFRS 16, but partly offset with the higher share profit of PTG as mentioned before. For the financial positions as of 30 September 2024, the company had total asset on the left-hand side of 49,592 million baht, an increase of 2.7 million baht. 2.7 thousand million baht, or 5.7% from the end of last year. The growth was primarily driven by an increase of 1.8 million baht in PPE due to the continued expansions of branch in both of oil and non-oil business, with 978 million baht increase in investment in joint ventures such as Paisan and Thai Paiboon. For the right-hand side, you will see that the liability amount to 40,403 million baht of 2,300 million baht or 6.3% from the end of last year. These include an increase of 2.5 million baht in short-term loans and current portions of long-term debt, which driven by an additional of 1.3 thousand million baht in short-term loan and overdraft, along with an incremental of 1.2 thousand million baht in bonds due within 1 year. The following with the reclassifications of certain long-term bonds as current liabilities. Apart from that, trades and other payables also increased by 1.3 thousand million baht or 13% from the end of last year, in line with the higher oil sales volume as mentioned before. However, this was partially offset by decrease of 1.3 thousand million in long-term loan and long-term bonds. And for the shareholder equity stood at 1.2 thousand million, which increased of 263 million baht or 2.9% from the end of last year. Let's move on to the ratio with the top left box. You will see that an increase of annualized ROA and ROE still increased due to the higher profitability following with the decline in leverage ratio of DE from the same period last year as an increase in equity. In terms of operating cycle, the cash cycle become more negative due to the slight delay payments to creditors. And for the cash flow bottom right box, there is a negative cash flow by 730 million baht, largely due to an increase in investment during the period. Next, regarding the interim dividend approval by the Board of Directors on 12 November 2024, the company will pay the dividend for 10 stang per share to common shareholder totaling 1,670 million shares, amounting to 167 million baht. The record date is set for 27 November with the ex-dividend date on 26 November. The dividend will be paid on 12 December of this year. Next, let's briefly review the target summary of this year. I'll start with the oil network expansions. As of the end of September, we have 2,214 stations, lower from the target of 2,251 oil stations. And the company achieved 1,828 non-oil touch points out of target of 2,243, including 1,126 Pan-Thai coffee branch from the target of 1,282, and with 752 of other non-oil touch points from target of 961 touch points. Move on to the right-hand side. In part of performance, we have an oil sales volume growth by 13.6% year-over-year, which in line with the target of level 10 to 15% year-over-year. For non-oil sales growth, we reached 45.5% year-over-year from the target of 40 to 50% year-over-year. In terms of non-oil gross profit contribution, we quite in line with 25 to 30% at level of 24.5%. And for EBITDA growth at 15.8% year-over-year, exceed from the expectation of 8 to 12% year-over-year. Besides that, we still expect CapEx for this year to be in range of 4 to 5 billion baht. And that will conclude the presentation for today.
I would like to wrap up for this quarter. I think there are three main things that we would like to share. The first thing is we call this quarter the quarter of the non-oil expansion. You can see that Pan-Thai exceeds 1,000 stores. We are in that 1,126 stores already, quite high. Together with the elects by EGAT PT, which is the EV charging station, that already surpassed 100 stations as well at 121. Together with other bags, 103. And as you can see, the max cam as well, the rest area for the commercial driver, for the truck driver, we are now in at 100 locations as well. So we call it this quarter at the quarter of non-oil expansion. Together with the second thing is that the oil, okay, there's a non-oil expansion for the oil. It's a very significant growth for the company because the market declined a little bit of 0.5%, but we grew 12%. So it means that we are we had a very strong position in the market as well as very well accepted by the customer. And the third thing is that you can see that the same store sales, we grew for both oil and non-oil. For oil, we grew from same store sales more than 10%. And for the non-oil, many business units that you can see, or the bags or Pantai grew more than 20%. So our marketing campaign is effective together with our service level that we deliver at the store is quite good and got accepted by the customers as well. So non-oil expansion, the growth of oil business despite the decline of the market, as well as the effective marketing campaign. All three things wrap up as our performance of this quarter for PTG. And I think that's all for today.
Okay, the session has come to an end. So on behalf of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, I would like to thank you investors and corporate for joining the conference. We look forward to welcoming you all again in the next quarter. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณนะคะ
ขอบคุณมากครับ สวัสดีครับ